Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Agudath Israel Etz Ahayem Synagogue here in Montgomery, Alabama. I am Rabbi Scott Kramer. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope we all had a good week. I hope the sound is well. It looks like the video is a little choppy. I'm trying out a new webcam. I may not have the resolution set properly, but we'll do the best we can. I hope everyone can hear me okay. If you don't mind, those that are logged in, if you could type in chat whether you can hear me okay. I know Chaz and Charles is here, and Emily. If you could just let me know, and we'll get started in just a moment. We are praying out of Siddur Lev Shalem for Shabbat and festivals. And we will begin on page 5 with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Bimelech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We continue with Lechun Ranina. Page 11. Lechun Ranina, Lechun Ranina, Lechun Ranina l'Adonai. Lechun Ranina, Lechun Ranina, Lechun Ranina l'Adonai. Naria, Naria, L'tzur Yishenu, Nekad Mafana B'toda. Naria, Naria, L'tzur Yishenu, Bizmirot Naria Lo. Lechun Ranina, Lechun Ranina, Lechun Ranina l'Adonai. Lechun Ranina, Lechun Ranina, Lechun Ranina l'Adonai. Naria, Naria, L'tzur Yishenu, Nekad Mafana B'toda. Naria, Naria, L'tzur Yishenu, Bizmirot Naria Lo. I understand that the video might be frozen. I probably have the wrong resolution for this new cam. I think the system got overwhelmed. I hope, though, that you can hear me nevertheless. We continue page 11. Let us go and sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector, filled with thanks. Let us greet God, raising our voice in song. Great is Adonai, a greater sovereign than all other deities. God's hands formed the earth's deep. Mountains, crests too, are God's work. The sea is God, for God made it. Dry land was fashioned by God's hands. Come then, let us bow and kneel. Let us bend our knees in the presence of Adonai, who formed us. For Adonai is our God, and we are God's flock, sheep in God's caring hands. If only you would listen today to God's voice and not become hard-hearted like the people at Meribah, like the time at Massah in the desert, when your ancestors tried me and tested me, though they had seen what I had wrought. For 40 years I was troubled by that generation, and I said, these are a people whose hearts have gone astray. They do not know my way. So in anger, I swore they would not enter my rest. Again, if those who are listening, I understand that the picture is kind of frozen or choppy. Let me know if the sound is coming across clear and not broken. We continue on page 13. Ashiru Ladonai Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai Baruch Shemo, Basru Me'om Le'om Yeshuato, Sapru Vagoyim Kivodo, Bechol Ha'amim Nifliotov, Ki Gadol Adonai, O Mehulal Miyot, No Rahu, Alko Elohim, Laila, Kiko Elohe, Amim Elilim, Vadonai Shamayim Masa, Od Vadar Lefanav, Oz Vetiferet B'miktasho, Avul Adonai, Mishpachot Amim, Avul Adonai, Kavod Vos, Avul Adonai, I give out Shemo, Seu Mincha, Uvo Lechatzrod of Laila, Tachavul Adonai, Behadrat Kodesh, Chilum Mipanav Kol Haaretz, Chilum Imru Vagoyim, Adonai Malach, Aptikum Devel Balatimov, Yadin Hamim Beme Sharim, Yismechu Hashemayim V'tagel Haaretz, Ayiram Mayamu Melo, Yalo Sadai, V'chol asher bo Laila, Aziranu Kol Hatziyar, Lifnei Adonai Kiva. Kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel b'tzedek, ve'yamim be'emunato, yalai lalai 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 lalai. We continue page 17 with Psalm 98. Hamizmor shiru ladonai shir chadash ki niflot asa Hoshia lo yimino Uzaro wako Ocho adia Adonai Yeshuato Le'ena goyim gilat tzidkato Zachar chesda ve'emunato Levei Yisrael Baruch olav se'aret Et Yeshuat Eloheinu Oriu l'Adonai kol haaretz B'tchum v'ranenu v'zameru Zamru l'Adonai bechinar v'kol zimara Mechatzot rod v'kol shofar Horiu lifnei HaMelech Adonai Yiramayam u'maloho Tevel v'yoshveva Neharot kimcha uchaf Yachad arim yiranenu Lifnei Adonai kiva Lishbot haaretz Yishbot tevel b'tzedek V'yamim b'meisharim Yalai lalai 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 Yalai lalai 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 Yalai lalai 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 Yalai lalai 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 Yalai lalai 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 Yalai lalai 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 Yalai lalai 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 Yalai lalai lalai lalai. We continue on page 19 with Psalm 99. Adonai reigns, nations tremble, the one enthroned amidst the cherubim makes the world quake. Adonai is great in Zion above all nations. They shall acknowledge your name, saying, Great, all-inspiring Holy One. A sovereign strength lies in the love of justice. and you forged the paths of truth, judging Jacob righteously and justly. Exalt Adonai our God, bow down before God the Holy One, Moses and Aaron among God's priests, and Samuel among those who called upon the divine name. Called to you, and you answered them. You spoke to them from amidst the cloud. They kept your covenant and the law you gave them. You answered them, Adonai our God. You were a forgiving God to them, even as you punished them for their transgressions. Exalt Adonai our God and bow down at God's holy mountain, for Adonai our God is holy. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu la'ar kadosho, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. We rise, if you're able, page 21. Mizmor LeDavid, Avu Ladonai b'nei Elim, Avu Ladonai kavod vos, Avu Ladonai kavod shemo, Ishtachavu Ladonai be'advat kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim, El kavod yirim Adonai al mayim rabim, Kol Adonai ba'kolach, Kol Adonai be'adar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, Vaishaber Adonai et al Halvanon, Vayarkidem kemo Ekel, Lebanon v'Sirion kemo ven Rehemim, Kol Adonai chotzev lavodesh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yecholeo ayalav, Vayachesab yachod, V'veichalo kulo omer kavod, Adonai lamabul yashav, Yeshev Adonai melech leolam, Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May be seated. We continue page 23 with Lechadodi. Lechadodi lekrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lechadodi lekrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad, Ishmianu elam nichad, Adonai echad, Ushemo echad, L'shemu tiferet v'litila, Lechadodi lekrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lekrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mikora beracha, merosh mitkedem nesucha, zov maaseh b'machshvat chila. Lechadodi lekrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. Mikdash melech ir melucha, kumitzi mitocha v'charav lach shevet b'yamek avacha v'yachamo alaychem la. Lechadodi lekrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. Idnari me'afar kumi, livshevite tifartechami, ayad b'nishan beit alachmi, korva emnafshi geyala. Lechadodi lekrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. Idoreri, kiva ore kumi ori, shir daveri, kivod Adonai alayich digla. Lechadodi lekrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lechadodi lekrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lo tevoshi v'lo tikami, ma tishtochachi u'matemi bach yechesu ani eyami v'nivneta ir al tila. Lechadodi lekrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. V'hay Yulam Shisa Shahu Esayich Verachaku Kol Mifalayich Yasis Alayich Elohayich Kim Chazchatan Al Kala Lechadodi Lechadala B'nei Shabbat nekabela Yaminu Smo Tifroti V'et Adonai Tariti Hayarish Ben Parti V'nismecha V'nagila Lechadodi Lekrakala B'nei Shabbat nekabela Boi v'shalom ater bala gam l'simcha u'v'tzala tochem mune am segula boi chala lecha dodi lekrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabila. You may be seated. We continue with Psalm 92, page 27. A psalm, the song of the day of Shabbat. It is good to thank you, Adonai, and sing to your name, Most High, to proclaim your love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. Finger the lute, pluck the harp, let the sound of the lyre rise up. You gladden me with your deeds, Adonai, and I shall sing of your handiwork. How wonderful are your works, Adonai, how subtle are your designs. The arrogant do not understand. The fool does not comprehend this. The wicked flourish like grass, and every evildoer blossoms, only to be destroyed forever. But you, Adonai, are exalted for all time. Surely your enemies, Adonai, surely your enemies will perish. All who commit evil will be scattered. As a wild bull raises up its horn, you raised my head high, anointed it with fresh oil. As my enemies gather against me, my gaze remains steady, for my ears listen and hear. The righteous flourish like the date palm. They thrive like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of Adonai. They flourish in our God's courtyards. In old age, they remain fruitful, still fresh and bountiful, proclaiming Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no flaw. Adikatamar yifrach ki erez balvanon yiske shetulim Bevet Adonai Bechatzron Eloheinu Yafrichu On Yenuvun Beseva Deshenim Verananim Yeyu Leagid Ki Yashar Adonai Tzuri V'lo Avlatobo, page 29, Psalm 93. Adonai is sovereign, robed in splendor, girded in strength. The earth stands firm, not to be dislodged. From earliest time you are enthroned, you are eternal. The rivers raise up, Adonai, the rivers raise up their roar. The rivers raise up their waves above the roar of the vast sea and the majestic breakers of the ocean. Adonai stands supreme in the heavens. In your house, beautiful in its holiness, your testimonies adore Adonai for all time. Again, Shabbat Shalom to everyone. I'm sorry about the video issues. Let me see if I can't. One second. Okay. Well, we'll have to live with it for this evening. I will try and correct this by tomorrow morning, I hope. So it's always a learning curve with this technology. And putting in a new piece of equipment, I thought everything was working fine until we went live, and then all of a sudden, boom. Okay, Shabbat Shalom. We are now in the third and final section of the triennial portion this year, so I get to concentrate on the part that is difficult for everybody to get to at the end of the portion. This week, reading the portion of Noah, we get to read and concentrate on the story of the Tower of Babel. It is interesting to note that the entire story is contained in 9 verses of chapter 11 of Genesis. It is so short, I would like to review it with you. And here is what verse 11 begins with. Everyone on earth had the same language and the same words, and as they migrated from the east, they came upon a valley in the land of Shinar and settled there. They said one to another, "Come, let us make bricks and burn them hard. Brick served them as stone, and bitumen served them as mortar." And they said, "Come, let us build a city and a tower with its top in the sky to make a name for ourselves, else we shall be scattered all over the world." The Lord came down to look at the city and tower that man had built. And the Lord said, "If as one people with one language for all, this is how they have begun to act, then nothing that they may propose to do will be out of their reach. Let us then go down and confound their speech there, so that they should not understand one another's speech." Thus the Lord scattered them from there over the face of the whole earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Lord confounded the speech of the whole earth, and from there the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth. I know we've all heard that story before, and it's interesting to note that it's such a short story. But I have one question to ask. What troubles you about this story? I would say that the thing that bothers me the most, what was so wrong about building this tower or this structure? They communicated with each other. They had a single and seemingly worthwhile goal of building a city and a tower. There was no corruption, as in the generation before the flood. According to the chronology, Noah and his sons were still alive, and Abraham was alive as well during this story. We know this because the Torah says that the dispersion took place in the time of Peleg, Abraham's great-great-great-grandfather. And if you chart the births and deaths of the 10 generations from Noah to Abraham, you will find that Abraham was alive during the lifetime of Peleg. With all of these righteous and blameless people there, what was the problem that resulted in the confounding of the speech of the world? Is it not desirable for humans to speak as one and to understand each other? Perhaps it's the motives that inform the communication that were at fault. With words, we can build and we can destroy. Maybe there is a reason that the story occurs in the same portion that the story of Noah occurs. There are two clues that might provide us an answer to our problem. The Hebrew word for ark, the thing that Noah built, is teva. Teva also means word. Hebrew sometimes has different multiple meanings for one word. Teva could mean ark, it could mean word. And this derivation can come from the dimensions of the ark. The ark has the following dimensions. 300 cubits. By the way, a cubit is the distance between your elbow and the length of your longest finger, about 18 inches. So the ark was 300 cubits by 50 cubits by 30 cubits. According to Gematria, 300 is the Hebrew letter for shin, 50 is a nun, and 30 is a lamed. Putting the lamed first gives the Hebrew root lashon, lamed shin nun, lashon, which means speech. When I see the word lashon, I immediately think of lashon hara and lashon hatov. We all know that words and speech can be used for good and for bad. With speech, we can inspire humankind with spiritual, creative, insightful words, and we can also destroy the world through gossip and harmful words uttered at a time of anger or hate. Noah decided to enter the ark, or enter the word of Torah, and thereby save himself and mankind. The generation of the tower used their words to build a structure and challenge the word of God rather than to praise God and thank him for all the good in their lives, including the ability to communicate as one. Maybe the ability to communicate as one has to be striven for with the right motives, and not just given to us by God. Maybe that is our work while on this earth, that of using words to unite and promote fellowship, and to study Torah rather than to incite and cause people to rise up against one another. And I cannot speak for the entire world, but I can control what comes out of my own mouth and make sure it is always words of Torah. Shabbat shalom. We now continue with Ma'ariv, page 39a. And we rise for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship. Baruch Hu Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Mahavir Yom Mevi Laila, Mavdiya Ben Yom Mevi Laila, Adonai Tzavot Shemo, El Chai V'Kayim Tamid Yimloch, Alein Olam V'ed Baruch Atah Adonai, Hamaviv Adavim, page 40. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael, Amcha Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shachvenu v'kumeinu, nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובאו הם הנגב יומם ולילה, ועבדך תשים ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך וקומך, וקשרתם על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, והיה אם שמות תשמעו. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר בני ישראל ואמרת להם, ויעשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית תקנה פתיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית וראיתם אותו, ושכחתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטו אחרי לבבכם לאחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Page 43a. This is our enduring affirmation binding on us that Adonai is our God and there is none other, and we, Israel, are God's people. God is our sovereign, redeeming us from earthly rulers, delivering us from the hand of all tyrants, bringing judgment upon our oppressors, and just retribution upon all our mortal enemies, performing wonders beyond understanding and marvels beyond all reckoning. God places us among the living, not allowing our steps to falter, and leads us past the false altars of our enemies, exalting us above all those who hate us. Adonai avenged us with miracles before Pharaoh, offered signs and wonders in the land of Egypt. God brought Israel from its midst to lasting freedom and led them through divided waters of the Sea of Reeds. As their pursuers and enemies drowned in the depths, God's children beheld the power of the divine. They praised and acknowledged God's name. Page 44. ומלכותו ברצון כי בלעיהם משה ובני ישראל חנשירה בשמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם מי כמוך פועלים אדוני מי כמוך נדור בקודש נוראתי לו אוסף אלה מלכותך ובניך בקיים לפני משה זה לי אנו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר כי ודע אדוני את יעקב, וגלות מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל Yisrael, page 45. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'amiteinu malkeinu lechayim ufaros aleinu sukat shalomecha v'tagnenu b'yetzatova milfanecha v'hoshienu l'man shemecha. Ushmotzeitenu v'elachaynu shlom yatav yad olam uv'osalenu sukat shlomecha Baruch Adonai Apohet sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. We rise, page 46. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam barito la. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam barito lam. Beini uvein ben Yisrael oti le'lam, oti le'lam, oti le'olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam barito lam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam barito lam. Uvayom hashvi Shabbat v'yinafash Shabbat v'yinafash Shabbat v'yinafash. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam barito lam. We remain standing for the silent Amidah, pages 47 through 52. Vayisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Vayisrael amcha tasim leolam. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. We remain standing as the ark is open, page 56 for Elena. This week we will observe yard signs for Sarah Camheeb Hassan, Tilly Byrne, Edward Rosenthal, Meyer Reuben Miller, Gizzy London, Mark London, Rachel Piha, Tootsie Plotka, Ruth Siegel, Julius Silverberg, Saul Byrne, Catherine Beaton, Marion Fast, Jean Hauben, Helen Held, Katie Shinbaum. And this week we have to add someone who passed just yesterday, Rita Rosenthal. And her funeral will be Sunday at 11 a.m. on Leak Memory Facebook page. There will be 2 Shiva minions, both via Zoom, on Monday and Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. If you would like to get that link, you'll have to email me, rabbi@agudathmontgomery.com, and I'll get you that one link for both services. Those observing yard site, the those who mourn, please rise, page 58, and join me in the Kaddish Tone, the mourner's Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה, ביומא דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון וימכון וחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה וזמן קריב ימרו אמן, יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עמל מהיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתחומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קדושה בריחו, לעילם מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן ביומה וימרו אמן, יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיים, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו אמן. עושה שלום דברמה, ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו amen. And we wish our deepest condolences for Alan Rosenthal, Richard Rosenthal, and Mark Levy, all family of Rita. Tomorrow morning I'll be back, hopefully with a better a better video. I think I know what I did wrong with this new webcam, and hopefully I'll be able to fix it by tomorrow. I'm so sorry about that. I learned so much. Been learning for 16 months, and apparently I have more to learn. And then tomorrow night we will be back. We will be on Zoom for Havdalah. Again, if you are on our master list, you may you have the link for our Havdalah. Otherwise, you can email me, and I will send you the Havdalah link tomorrow, and it's at 7 p.m. Okay, 7 p.m. Time change. And with that, we'll go ahead and conclude our service with Adon Olam, page 2011. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'ed nasa v'chefso kol azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo nikra v'yacharei kichlot hakol va'ado yimloch nora והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארת